Test Taking and Test Anxiety, presented by Westchester University in Philadelphia. Why do we take tests in the first place? Instructors give tests to assess student learning based on one or more levels of Bloom's taxonomy. At the most basic level is knowledge, or the ability to recall basic information. Comprehension assesses understanding. Application assesses the learner's ability to apply or use information. Analysis evaluates the learner's ability to interpret elements and break information down into components. Synthesis is the learner's ability to create new structures from existing knowledge, and evaluation is the ability to assess and use critical thinking skills. Instructors design tests based on these different levels of cognitive functioning. How to prepare for tests. First, figure out what you need to know. Think about how the instructor organized and delivered material. Use your syllabus, class notes, and textbook. You should begin this step about a week before the test. Next, write down major concepts. Break down information into major categories and try to get the big picture. Now that you have the big picture, actively study the major concepts. Active studying means interacting with the material as you study. Some methods of active studying include outlining, making lists, creating diagrams or flowcharts, and using flashcards. Active studying should begin at least 4 or 5 days before the test date. This process requires effort. However, the more time and effort you spend thinking about and organizing the material ahead of time, the better prepared you will be and the less anxious you will feel when the test finally arrives. Anticipating test content. Review study guides. Ask your professor what to expect. Take notes and look for hints provided by the instructor in the days before the test. Create potential quiz questions and quiz yourself. If possible, review previous exams. Form a study group. Pay attention to clues. Pay close attention if your instructor writes terms on the board, repeats something, asks questions to generate class discussion, reviews lecture notes, or tells the class that a specific topic will be tested. General test-taking tips. Write down easily forgotten information, such as dates or equations, right away. Write brief outlines to refer to during essays. Read the directions. Thoroughly read all directions looking for keywords such as except or most correct. Simplify complex instructions by breaking them down. Skim the entire test. Once you've read the directions, briefly review the entire test to identify question quantity and types. Remember, it's okay to make educated guesses. If you get stuck on a question, circle it and come back to it later. When answering confusing multiple choice questions, identify clues that provide answer hints. For example, answers with grammatical errors are more than likely incorrect, so pay attention to verb tenses, subject-verb agreement issues, and other problems. If questions are confusingly worded, rephrase questions with simple phrases and words. Likewise, pay close attention to the context of questions to get a better understanding of what the question is asking. Eliminate answers you know are wrong and make an educated guess. Review for careless mistakes. Read the instructions for each section again after you finish the test to make sure you completed it correctly. If time permits, briefly review each question to make sure you are satisfied with your answers and have answered each question fully. You may be thinking more clearly once test-taking anxiety has decreased. Tips for multiple choice tests. Do the easy questions first. Cover up the answer choices and try to predict the answer first. Be sure to read all answer choices carefully, even if the first choice seems like the correct answer. Decode difficult questions. Pay attention to absolute terms such as never, always, or none. They often, but not always, indicate that the statement is false. Pay attention to the use of negatives such as not, unless, or none. You may find it helpful to rephrase questions with two negatives in positive terms. Look for distractors, or extra pieces of information that might distract you from the real purpose of the question. As you read the question stem, cross out the distractors and underline the key points to help you maintain focus. Rephrase the question in your own words. Treat each answer choice as a true-false statement and search for the one true statement amid the alternatives. If you're debating between two similar answers, try identifying which is the worse answer rather than which is the better one. Looking at the question from a different perspective can sometimes help clarify the underlying purpose of the question. Guess strategically. Cross off any alternatives that you know are wrong. Skip the question and come back to it later. A question further along may trigger your memory. Reread the question carefully when you come back to it. You might have missed something the first time. If you still don't know the answer, and if there is no penalty for wrong answers, take an educated guess. Don't change your answers unless you are sure your original answer is incorrect. When answering essay questions, ask yourself the following questions. Do I understand what the question is asking me to do? Have I done any preliminary planning of my major points? From reading the first sentence of my answer, does the reader know both what the question is and how I will develop my answer? Do the major points stand out? Are the major points supported with examples and facts? Are there clear transitions between the major points? Would someone who has not taken this class be able to understand the concept discussed in the way I explained it? Have I completely covered all major points needed to answer the question? Did I stick to the question? Have I concluded with a summary statement? Did I proofread for misspelled words, sentence fragments, run-on sentences, comma splices, subject, verb, or pronoun antecedent agreement errors, and other errors that might prevent the reader from understanding what I have written? And is my handwriting readable, and have I left enough space for comments or additions? Reviewing return tests can be helpful for many reasons. Check the point total to make sure it is right. Look for mistakes in grading. Know what questions you missed and why you missed them. Study the instructor's comments, especially for essay questions, so that you will know what is expected next time. Look for kinds of questions and tricky questions that the instructor likes to use. See if the questions came from the text or the lecture. Correct and understand what you missed. Analyze the type of problems you missed so you can review strategies for that type of question. Review to get an idea what kind of test the instructor might give next time. Review to put information back into long-term memory. You want to ask questions while the test is fresh. Review how you studied for the exam and look for better ways. Reviewing gives you a good reason to talk to your professors and let them know you want to improve. If your instructor does not give back completed exams, ask him or her if you may review it during office hours. A worksheet like this one will help you analyze a return test in order to be better prepared for the next one. Do you find that you get anxious before taking a test no matter how much you've prepared? Test anxiety can manifest in physical symptoms such as headaches, nausea, increased heart rate, and changes in body temperature, emotional symptoms such as crying, irritability, and frustration, and cognitive symptoms such as blanking out and racing thoughts. If this sounds familiar, follow these tips to manage test anxiety. Be well prepared for the test. Test yourself prior to the exam. Stay healthy. Sleep, nutrition, exercise, and social interaction all play a part in this. Think positively. Organize materials needed for the exam the night before. Be sure to arrive on time. Avoid talking to other students about the exam just before taking it. Calm yourself by taking slow, deep breaths. Read all instructions carefully. Focus on only the exam, and reward yourself afterwards. Questions about test taking and test anxiety or the WCU Philly campus? Contact Program Counselor Marcy Cohen at mcohen@wcupa.edu or 267-386-3014.